What's up, guys, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Frankie.
And I'm Alex.
And together we are FnA Van Life.
This is the podcast where we bring you news from the road or interviews with other nomads so you can know what it's really like to live life on the road.
And one thing that's really cool about this podcast, it's a first of its kind for us. We're actually going to be doing it live on camera.
Yeah, so if you head over to our YouTube channel, not our main YouTube channel, but our secondary YouTube channel.
That's called Frankie and Alex.
You can see the video version of this podcast there and also wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, I'm excited to do a video podcast for once, Alex. Are you?
I'm a little bit excited, but a little bit nervous because we don't have a schmancy fancy podcast studio.
No, we're just in our room, literally. Like, this is the room that we stay in when we're stationary at home, and we are back in Canada at the moment. This is like kind of a wild update because the last 3 months we've been traveling ever since September.
So we hit the road in September. We headed to Northwest Nomads, which was a van life event in Oregon.
Which I was really excited to go to. I think Alex was too, but she kept telling me, like, limit my expectations and all this. And we talk about that quite often on the podcast, about, like, trying to go to places without expectations. But this one was hard because it was the first van life event that we ever went to and were part of. And so this was like a full circle moment, being able to bring Everly back.
Which just felt like really big expectations. Frankie was so jazzed for this event.
I was.
The thing I liked about it was that it gave him a deadline for finishing the trailer or finishing it enough. It was not all the way complete when we hit the road and is still not all the way complete.
Yeah, and the thing for me that I really liked about it was the fact that I was not having expectations for myself. I was having them for Everly. So I think that was the cool part, is that instead of having the expectations for me and like being excited about it for myself, I was excited about it for Everly and being able to be around kids. And there were kids there, which was so cool. And that's why I want to go, because I want to meet up with friends who have had kids, and where we met them at this event or just before the event. So it was I just loved the fact that it was a full circle moment.
Do you care that the heater just kicked on?
I will turn it off. Let's see.
I can just hear it in my headset.
Leave it alone. Don't talk. The dB is really super low for it, so I don't think it will be a big deal.
Okay, well, that's good because my toes are already cold, and I think if the heater is off for the whole thing, my toes will be frozen little icicles.
And we don't want that. So
No.
We're in a house. We should be comfortable and warm, and that's what we're doing. So let's get into this, Alex. I hurried up and I finished the rig, right? And it wasn't fully done. It was about 90% done. And why I say 90% is because we were lacking a bathroom shower specifically. We had a toilet.
We were missing a whole wall for our bathroom.
Well, yes. But then we were also missing paint.
Yeah,
and
we had
finishing touches.
none of the finishing touches. So all of the cupboard doors were just raw. All of the wood in the entire build was raw, even the countertops. Nothing has a finishing coat on it. Nothing has a finishing coat of paint. You can still see some exposed ceiling and exposed insulation in one little part. We basically, the wood is up, the cushions are down, we're hitting the road.
Yeah, and it was what we needed to hit the road. So
we were really comfortable in that space. We traveled from September all the way until just about a week ago, less than that. And so that's like 3 full months, September, October, November.
Yep.
And had a really great time.
Yep.
We did find one major issue with the build that we're going to have to circle back on and tell you guys about at a later date, because that's one of the main reasons that we came home instead of just continuing traveling, is that now we have this big problem that we need to fix.
I'll say it was the main reason.
It was basically the only reason.
Yeah.
Well, we were planning on coming home for the holidays. We actually had flights booked and we're ready to just come home for 2 months, basically, just to reset, have time with family, Christmas, New Year's, that whole jam. And then we canceled the flights and drove home instead.
Yeah, so the whole way that the trip started off was I left and Alex and Everly stayed back. I took Paco and I drove for 5 days across the country, which was actually really peaceful because it was just me and Paco in the rig. And I did miss Alex and Everly, but it was also nice to have a moment to just sit with my own thoughts. And as I was doing that, I realized I had so much gratitude coming up, and just I had a moment to really think about everything that was just done. And for the simple fact that we make these videos and podcasts, thank you to you guys, we're able to actually do this type of stuff for a living and be able to enjoy life with a pretty free sense of life, because of you guys watching these, this podcast, and also watching the videos. The videos, have been huge for us in life. And for the past 6 years, we've been doing it. And you could see me traveling across the country and actually talking about the gratitude on our YouTube videos. So we'll definitely have some links in the description of that specifically and how to get over there. But yeah, I just remember being so grateful for having the family that I have and having the people around me that we have, and being thankful for everybody that allowed us to use their space and stuff to get the job done, to be able to get back on the road.
Because it was a real push at the end there to finish the build, which is, if you're a longtime follower of the podcast, you know who we haven't put out an episode in a while.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
And that's because we were working so hard to finish this build. And luckily at the very end, a bunch of friends came through for us. My cousin Emma came by for a couple of days. PS Adventure showed up.
Uncle Kevin came.
Uncle Kevin came. How crazy is that?
We haven't seen him in like 4 years.
Yeah.
And he showed up randomly, perfectly.
For like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big help.
It's huge help. So we had a lot of people in our corner. Our neighbors were super duper helpful. They let us use their enclosed garage workspace for free, for nothing, just to be helpful and supportive.
Yeah, they were like, we don't really use it that often, so we would like somebody to get in there and use it, and that we did.
No problem.
You got it. I'm happy to have a heated space to work in.
Yeah, even in the summer, it's nice because, like, when it was sweltering hot out, you have a break from the sun. And then when it starts to get colder, then you have this heated space. So it really makes a huge world of a difference to have an enclosed space when you're building a van.
Well, yeah, something as simple as doing the spray foam would have been impossible without a temperature-controlled space.
Well, you would have just wasted so much product, and it would have been incomplete or like a improperly laid
It literally
foundation.
dripped off the wall because the wall was too hot.
Yeah, we one day left the garage door open for too long, and so the front of the van got direct sun. Frank always gets mad at me for calling it a van. It's a trailer. The front of the trailer got really hot from the sun, which also in hindsight, we shouldn't have bought a black trailer. No. We realized, we thought it looked sleek, and then we remembered, oh, duh.
Good for the winter, but the summer, it's going to boil a wall.
So the wall was boiling, and Frankie was spraying it, and he's like, why isn't the glue like sticking to the wall? And then he realized that, oh shoot, it's because this wall is 1,000 degrees right now.
Yeah. So I mean, in the summertime, luckily for us, we do have an air conditioner and all this stuff, but let's get back to the story.
Okay, so anyways, we had a lot of help getting out the door, but the last couple of weeks were like full throttle.
Yeah.
We did not stop.
I worked till like 11 o'clock at night for about a week and a half.
Literally woke up on the build all day, every day, trying to find care for Everly so that I could help out, having her in daycare, having friends help out, having neighbors watch her for a day. Like, there was just so much going on, and like moving parts and heavy things and whatever. It was very stressful. So then go. Frankie leaves, and then me and Everly are just home with nothing to do.
I gotta say, that was the hardest moment of like my life in most recent time, is just trying to leave and Everly like crying for me. And I just remember being like really sad, but knowing that we were going to be back together in a couple of days was like, don't worry, Everly, it's going to be worth it. And by God, it was worth it.
Oh yeah, we just literally spent the last 3 months with her 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to the point where we just dropped her off at daycare today for the first time in 3 months. And she was okay to go. Like
she did great. Typically she cries. She didn't cry at all.
She was happy to see her teacher and like very excited to be there. But like when we were talking about it beforehand, we're like, tomorrow is school, today is school. And she was like, no, I don't want to leave you guys. Like, and it's nice to spend all this time with her. I'm having this like internal struggle of like, should we even have her in daycare? Because we just did 3 months without her in daycare and we did fine. You know what I mean?
This podcast wouldn't be possible right now.
Well, no, that's why we didn't record any podcasts while we were on the road, because when she goes to bed at 7 p.m., we start working, which is fine, and happy to pull the night shift.
Yeah.
But then you can't really tell, like Frank and I are whispering to each other so that we don't wake her up, because we're in this like small little trailer.
Yeah. So
you can't just like record a podcast.
I'll say this too, and like, probably the next like 2 1 to 2 years, it will be a lot easier because she'll understand like we're working and she'll go play in her room and she'll like kind of stay, you know, we could even have her on the podcast at that point. But right now she's starting to really make sentences come together, but not well enough to be able to like shoot the stuff on the podcast.
She's not a very good conversationalist yet.
Not yet. But we did hear that she is talking nonstop at daycare right now, which is really nice to hear.
Okay, so we get on the road. So Frankie drives to Oregon in a couple of days. Everly and I fly out to meet him, and then we go to this Northwest Nomads event. We've got a bunch of videos about that on our YouTube channel, so go check those out if you want to see what it was like. If you are looking for a van life event that is super community focused, you're going to meet a lot of cool people.
That's very van life. Like, it's not outsiders. It's pretty much all insiders of van life.
Yeah, and then super cool musical lineup, comedy night, trivia night, like very well organized, lots to do. It's just such a magical event. I would be happy to go back there every single year. If we can make it work, we will do it. So if you're looking for a van life event, mark your calendars.
I will say this is the one event I feel like pretty much everybody feels like they fit in.
Yeah.
Like everybody who's at the event just feels like they fit in because everybody's included in everything. Mm-hmm. It's really nice.
It's very nice.
Hopefully that never changes.
Yeah. Well, I think it won't because there is a max capacity.
Yeah.
Like, I think the problem with events like Descend on Bend and things like that is that they just kept growing and growing and growing and growing. And then it's this massive thing that they can't control anymore. And then there's all these other logistics and legalities and blah, 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 blah. And it just gets too crazy. But because this is on a campground, there can only be so many people there.
And there's also like curfew related stuff. So like sound has to be down or you have to be respectful of neighbors by a certain time. So it's much better than Schoolie Palooza because you have that aspect of it.
Yeah, no crazy guy playing music at 5 a.m.
Well, yeah, not that I didn't like school. I loved Schoolie Palooza. It was so much fun. But like we also had expectations knowing that the music would be playing 24 hours.
Right.
Which helped us, I think, at the end of the day.
Well, also we had a 3-month-old baby, so we were waking up all hours of the night anyways.
We were also...
So it was like there was like a musical accoutrement to the breastfeeding at 2 a.m.
We were also extremely tired. So I think like from having a 3-month-old, that I think music didn't bother us when we fell asleep. Like we were just like out when we were out. And the only thing that would wake us up is that baby alarm clock.
Yeah. Yeah. So Northwest Nomads was great. And then we kind of tracked our way up towards Vancouver Island.
Yeah.
Because we are Canadian citizens. A lot of people don't know that. Well, I'm a Canadian citizen.
I'm a permanent resident. I'm from the United States originally. I'm still a U.S. citizen, but I live here full time now.
Mm-hmm. But so when we first started traveling, I had a U.S. green card, and Frankie's an American citizen. And so I had a Canadian citizen and a U.S. green card, and then we didn't have to think about visas or how long we were in or out of the country. It just was kind of like a moot point. Like, we went and traveled Mexico and Central America for 10 months, didn't even bat an eye. At the end, we were like, we should probably get back because you're not supposed to be gone for more than a year if you have a green card. Mm-hmm. But there was no problems. But so now, because Frank just got his permanent residency in Canada and we have Canadian health insurance, we have to be in the country a certain amount of days a year. And so we took a big trip to the UK last year for 45 days. So we were like, okay, we're counting our days, blah, blah, blah. We need a little bit more time in Canada. So we're like, let's go up to Vancouver Island because where we were in Washington, we went to visit some friends in Portland, Oregon. Shout out to Bob and Leanne, who are awesome people for hosting us there for a couple of days.
Thank you guys so much.
And we're like, we're not that far from Canada. I think it was like a 5 to 7 hour drive.
Yeah, and I know that I've never been to Vancouver Island. And I always wanted to explore it, and Alex hasn't been there since you were a kid, basically, right? Yeah. And so for us to be able to go explore a new place, a new destination, when we were already in like a spot where we've been and we've explored pretty thoroughly in our first year of van life, it was important to us to be like, you know what, let's go up there, as well as we could save time for ourselves in the sense of like getting days back from that UK trip by just going up to Canada quickly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was like a good 2 birds, 1 stone. We also had some friends who were in Squamish, British Columbia. So shout out to Crux and Beta, who we hadn't seen in they came to visit us when Everly was first born, but we hadn't seen them in a really long time. So it was nice to like go visit them and then head out to the island.
And if you don't know who Crux and Beta is, it's Jess and Sean. They actually go around helping people build out their rigs, and they just like do projects that you need done in your rig. So if you're looking for a project to get done inside your rig that you don't feel confident in doing, these are the people that you could pay to do it. They do excellent work. They've come and helped us too. We
paid them to help us with Sunny for like a big job that I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so hard and I don't want to do it. And it's going to just be like, and they did it in 2 days.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
And I was so happy to help out friends, you know what I mean? By paying them and giving them some money in return for their help, you know? And that's the way that we roll. We always try to help out people however we can, monetarily, or if it's just like a shout out related thing, you know, we try to do our best to be able to funnel our money into our friends.
So Sean and Jess are on the West Coast. If you need some help with your van, check them out on Instagram. And yeah, so we really enjoyed our time in Vancouver. The other thing is that we were getting to the end of the weather window where Vancouver would be feasible.
Yeah.
Because most of Canada is, you know, for traveling, trailering, it's a summer destination.
And it's also fairly expensive.
Yes. Oh my gosh, as soon as we got back into America and started filling up our gas tank, I was like, oh, that's nice.
And we're not complaining about it, guys. So, like, we did get some comments that like, stop complaining about the fuel price. That's what it is. And we're like, well, we could, like, say we're not the happiest with it, but at the same time, we're still going to pay it. We're still going to travel, you know?
It also just, like, changes the way you travel a little bit because, you know, everybody's got a budget, whether that's $1 million budget or a $10 budget. Like, you know, kind of have to think about what you're charging on your credit card every month. And so if that means that we travel a little bit slower so that we can fill our gas tank, you know, a little bit further apart, that's what we do.
That's fine. Yeah, no big deal. And so for us, Vancouver Island was a really cool place for us to go out and start exploring. And actually the videos that are coming out right now on YouTube are the videos from Vancouver Island. So it was about a month into our journey where we started to put out, get videos there and start putting those out. So we're about 2 months behind in our content right now somehow, which doesn't make sense to me because we were putting out so many more videos, but somehow we're further back than what we usually are.
Yeah, I don't exactly know what happened because we have been putting out a lot of content on YouTube. So if you haven't been watching that, like, go check it out. Because usually we were only putting up 1 video a week, but we were like, oh my gosh, we've got so many videos to get through. Let's start putting up 2 videos a week. And so we've been doing that for a while. We had a little bit of a fall off because we just did a cross country drive from basically all the way basically from Portland to Ontario with a nice little break in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just, I don't know what happened, but we've got a lot of content. And so this is our season right now, is that we're taking kind of a step back from traveling.
Yes.
It's nice to just be at a house, relaxing, getting back into like house routines. But while we're here, we have a lot of work to do in terms of like getting through the content so that we can show you our amazing trip on Vancouver Island and the big cross-country drive.
And I'll say, like, the types of things that we did on Vancouver Island was so cool. Like, one of the things, there's a video out already, we went to try to find like a bear to go see, and we went to a salmon hatchery, and which is the safest possible place you could go, like, looking for a bear. Like, if you're on trail and you're looking for a bear, that's probably fairly dangerous because they're not focused on a specific food, where at the salmon hatchery, they're focused on the salmon. And so it's a really good place to go spot bears and go be around them. Obviously, keeping a fair distance, safe distance, which, you know, in particular, I didn't do, but everybody else did. You'll see why I say that, you know, when you watch the video.
Well, it's fine. We did get a lot of heat about taking Everly and Paco on this bear excursion, which either we're taking them or we're not going.
Yeah.
That's just
life.
And so the reason that we went is because it's a cool thing to do, and it probably would have done it anyways. But Marianne from Tread the Globe was in town, as well as her son, Dan. And Dan had never been to Canada before, and Dan wanted to see a bear. That was
so
one
Dan,
of his
we're
bucket
blaming
list.
you, Dan. No, just kidding. We had a great time.
Yeah, but so Dan really wanted to see a bear while he was in Canada because Canada's just bears and whales and moose. That's all we got here, you know? So we made a point to like go spend a day in Campbell River, and
let's just say we got really close to a bear.
We did get really close.
Yeah. And then after that, like, that was an amazing adventure, so you guys could go check that out. We had so much fun doing it with Marianne and Dan as well.
And obviously we survived.
Yes, we survived.
We're here to tell the tale.
Talk about it. And, like, granted, there's going to be situations that you don't want to encounter a bear, but this is one that you definitely, it's good to encounter a bear there because they're very focused on something other than potentially eating you.
We were talking to a guy who works there, and he'd worked there for like 40 years. And he said to us, before we started like looking for the bears, whatever, he was like, I've been here 40 years. We've never had a problem.
Never.
Yeah. And like, obviously you're respectful. It's wildlife. We're not trying to like feed them peanuts out of our hands or something.
I'm not like, here, puppy, puppy, puppy.
Look, it's my new dog. I'm going to bring him home. Paco's like, oh, do you have treats?
No, Bubba, sorry.
But yeah, so that was a cool adventure. We went whale watching, which was another like bucket list thing that you have to do when you're in Vancouver Island if the timing is right for the season for the whales.
Well, set the scene for that spot. That was kind of wild. Like, as we're riding out on the boat, and you have the big Mount Baker in the background, just like scraping the sky.
It's just gorgeous to be on the water.
Yeah.
Period. Full stop.
Yeah.
And then to also see a whale. You're like, oh, what a day.
It was literally incredible. And so, yeah, that was an amazing adventure as well, which is also its own video on the YouTube channel.
I think the reason we have so many videos is because we're like sectioning them into smaller videos now.
Yeah.
So instead of doing like a mega episode where it's just like a 45-minute, like everything we did this week, it's like, we did this.
We're trying to stick to a point.
We did this.
Yeah.
We did this. And so
the next video that will come out will be more specifically about the west coast of Vancouver Island and Ucluelet and Tofino, which actually we're going to split the two of them once again, splitting videos up. They were both extremely, incredibly beautiful places. And you'll see why we split it up, because one is more budget friendly and the other one isn't necessarily, because Tofino could get really expensive. But I mean, well worth it. The food scene out there was really good from what we tried, and we did find free things to do and had an amazing adventure. Unfortunately, it did rain a lot on us, but like also at the same time, we enjoyed the rain. It was a good reset.
Well, it was funny. We experienced, Paco's just freaking out back there, so just ignore him. We experienced something called an atmospheric river, which I'd never heard of before, but basically it's a big band of water that on like the radar would look kind of like a river, but it's just a giant cloud that's just dumping rain.
It was just like one storm after another just hitting us. We would get like a day of sunshine and then 3 days of rain. Day of sunshine, 3 days of rain.
Yeah, which I guess is Vancouver Island in October. Like, what can you expect?
For sure. No complaints. I would still go back and visit again, like same situation, and we would have just as good of a time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was fabulous. Yeah. And it was funny because we did get some really nice days. And when we're going back and looking at the footage, I'm seeing so many beautiful sunshiny days. Like, we're still wearing like a coat and whatever, but we lucked out, I think.
We did. You know what we skipped, actually? We skipped goats on the roof. We were in Combs. We went and saw the goats on the roof. Super cool experience.
You mean we skipped talking about it right here?
Yeah. Oh. And the thing is that, like, goats on the roof was really unique because the stores that were there were jam-packed full of stuff, like food.
It was a very nice gift store.
Yeah, and they had like every type of food that you could possibly think of. A million to like hot sauces. Like that was crazy to see all the different hot sauces and just so many things for Everly to play with inside the store that were like on display for you to try before you buy type of thing. So yeah, it was just a really cool spot to go. Great donuts behind the store. And then also there was an ice cream shop there that we heard is really good, but we didn't get to go. It just wasn't open when we were there. It
wasn't really ice cream season.
No.
Although Frank's like, I could always eat ice cream.
Yes, I can.
So let me ask you this. So obviously we had a super great fun adventure. Then we kind of tracked back down and then we crossed the country. We realized we had this big problem that we're not going to talk about today, but we'll tell you about later. And now we're back home. So we've done a lot of traveling in the truck and trailer.
Okay.
So let's talk about pros and cons, van versus truck and trailer.
Okay.
So my first.
Pro or con? We want to do a list of pros first, and then we'll do the cons after?
Okay, sure. Let's keep it positive.
Okay.
My first pro of the truck and trailer is that the space that we built, very roomy.
Yes.
The living space, you step inside there, we've got a full home.
Yeah.
Very comfy.
And I love the fact that we have like a separate space from Everly. Like she has her own little room and that makes it really cozy.
And she likes her little room and she would like hang out there and play in there and like have her little toys out and whatever. And like she had a great time. She slept in there really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that I think was really nice because then she could go to bed at night and then we still had use of the full space.
Yeah, which was great. And we were
even though we had to be quiet.
Alex makes us be quiet. Because, like, I'll turn on the water pump and do things, and she stays asleep during it. Alex just like, Frankie, stop it.
Because I'm the one often that has to put her back to sleep. I just hate waking her up. It's like if she's asleep, let's keep her that way.
I mean, that's kind of fair, but also at the same time, I put her to sleep quite often too. Like after she wakes up, you put her to sleep the first time. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's big for you, because it's like,
I did a good job. She's asleep now.
Salute me, sir. and then so like when she wakes up in the middle of the night, sometimes she'll ask for daddy. But then sometimes after she has me for a little bit, she'll be like, mommy now, mommy, you know? And
she had a lot of big growth spurts while we were there. Like, obviously, she got bigger and taller. Her language has exploded since we got in the trailer.
Amazing.
And then also, we potty trained her while we were on the road.
Yeah.
So now she's a fully potty trained toddler.
Yeah, which is incredible.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild to think.
Yeah.
We're helping this little human just like grow and become a person, like an adult one day.
Yeah. So that was really great. We had a lot of rain days we were talking about, and we did go to like
the library.
Well, the libraries.
An aquatic center.
Sure, yeah, aquatic center, because we didn't have the shower set up either, so we needed to do shower pool.
Yeah, we call it shower pool, so that way she's like excited to go in the shower, because otherwise she's like, no, thank you.
I don't want to leave the pool.
No hair wet. You know, so we made it a shower pool, so that way she's really interested in actually going in.
Yeah, so now she stands in the shower pool and says, no hair wet, while she's completely soaked.
Yeah, and she's getting like the back of her hair wet.
Yeah.
It's pretty cute.
Yeah. We're like, yeah, your hair's dry. Yeah. Totally dry. You're totally fine.
You got this, girl.
Yeah.
You got this.
But so anyways, yeah, we did find things to do with her that were inside things. But also we would go to thrift stores and buy little like van-sized toys or like activities or coloring pages or like things or books that we could bring into the van, because like after a couple of days of like rain where it's like you can go outside for a bit but you don't want to be outside all day, you know what I mean, having fun things to do in the van at the table or on the floor was really necessary. So we definitely stocked up on some like random toys and random things.
Yeah, we did. And even some big toys. Like we got her a bicycle for her birthday.
Yeah.
So she was able to ride around on that and ride around with it with friends as well. And then we got her a like couple of outside toys like buckets and shovels and things along those lines. And she just had a blast. Like I feel like I watched her grow so much, and also she would wake up in the morning and be so excited to look out that back window. Like I loved having those back windows. So that way she could she was excited every morning to like come in bed and look out the window and figure out what was out there. You know, like whether it was big trucks, because we were sleeping at a truck stop, or it was, you know, big mountains.
Or a pool.
In the background. Or a pool, yeah, because she calls all bodies of water a pool. So it'd be like a big lake behind us, and she'd be like, oh, pool. You know, and like seeing the moon out there, or foggy. Because it got foggy out quite a bit where we were. So she would look out the window and be like, foggy, yeah, foggy. And so it's just really cute to see her like her little mind work and explore these things through the window of the RV.
Well, and like learning nature and learning being outside and not just like in a house, you know?
She's a big proponent of wanting to go outside. Like we would wake up in the morning, do whatever and breakfast, and then it was immediate like outside.
Let's go.
Yeah. So, and we were so happy to get her out there no matter what the weather was.
Yeah. Another big pro of the truck and trailer combo is that we have space to store things. So not only do you have the bigger space of like the living area, but you also have the truck bed. So all of the like outdoorsy things, like that bike that you just mentioned, the materials for the composting toilet, the diesel for the heater, the chairs and mat for outside.
The extra propane tank, just like all the different things that you could store in the truck. Granted, you are going to bring the tongue weight down. I probably shouldn't talk about the cons yet. But the fact of the matter is that, yeah, that space was great to have. I had extra tools back there. And anytime we would get like a product from a company, I would be able to store it in there. And we have the shell on the back of the truck too, so it kept everything nice and dry. And so, yeah, these were really great perks to have in the truck and the trailer. And then even like the back seat, there's so much room in that back seat, and there's so much extra storage underneath the seats and so on and so forth. And so it's just like there's a lot of extra storage that you don't think about. So much so that like I didn't even pack like that big slide out drawer until we got the new battery bank system. I put batteries in there.
Like the trunk of our trailer was basically empty the whole trip.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And like the side where the heater is and the ice cold refrigerator is, there's nothing back there except for those two things. So you have these big like empty open spaces, which would be cool to put some boxes in. Yeah, so putting boxes in would be really helpful. But what else? Can you think of any other pros?
We look really cool.
Yeah, it does look pretty cool.
We're so sexy.
Here's a pro. Since we have a like trailer that doesn't look like a camper trailer, people think it's a work truck. Like people think it's a work truck and a work trailer, and they don't expect it to be a tiny home.
So it is pretty stealth.
It's very stealth. Even though it has an air conditioner on the roof and like all the stuff on the roof, it could be like technically like a refrigeration trailer.
Yeah, but nobody I think thinks about it that hard. They just look black trailer, blue truck, work.
That's it. Done.
Yeah. They're not like, oh, that's a camper van.
So actually being able to like sleep on the side of a road and stuff, we were technically able to do. We didn't have any problems pulling up into like any Walmarts or parking spots. I definitely felt better after we did it a few times.
Which I think is just normal because also we hadn't been on the road actively for a while. And so I think there's always like a learning curve getting back into like life on the road.
Yeah.
And like what that feels like. So, you know.
Since we have like a smaller setup too, it was pretty easy to like maneuver it around for the most part. Like I think total we were 37 feet with the truck and trailer, which is basically the size of like a Class A bus. Not the largest one, but close to it.
So it's the size of a Class A bus without the living space or ease of maneuverability as a Class A bus.
And I would say like potentially about the same fuel economy or a little bit better fuel economy.
A little bit better than a bus.
I think they say they get about like 5 to 8 miles per gallon, and we were getting about 10. So that was pretty good. Being the fact that I built it really light helped out a lot.
But yeah, so a couple cons. Well, so that's one is that we are this big thing, but we don't have as much space as a thing that is that big.
Yeah, because if like we had like a whole living space, you know, that was 40 feet, then we would have had tons of room to like really do activities with Everly, let her run it up and down the aisles and stuff.
Right.
And also I would say we probably should have got an 8.5 foot wide or 8 foot wide, because then we would have had even more living space in the center there. Because it is a little bit tight when we need to walk by one another.
Which is like van life in a nutshell. Like, fine, we're cool with that. Frank and I get along very well in small spaces, so like that's not a problem.
But to have that extra 1.5 foot, you know, maybe
couldn't
total
hurt.
of 2 feet, considering, you know, that'd been nice.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think like the truck itself was very comfortable for all of the road trips, and like having the car seat in there, very good. But also there was like the element of like taking stuff back and forth.
Yeah.
So like, okay, we need snacks. So I got to pack snacks so that we can have snacks in the front, because once we're in the front, then we're not going to be in the back. And then whereas when we were in the van, I could literally just stand up, walk to the back, get a thing, walk back, have the thing. So there was less like thinking, planning. Like, moving to the car wasn't such a big deal.
So, like, when Everly would have to, like, stop for the bathroom, to have to, like, stop, get her out of the car seat, get her into the, you know, back area, then she would use the bathroom, and then, like, to get her back into the truck, into the car seat was harder, I think. If it was all in one space, she probably would have been more prone to be like, okay.
Yeah, who knows? Because it just... we don't know.
We don't know until we try it, which, you know, in the future, hopefully we do get to try it. Maybe we go to Europe or something and we try like another van type of situation.
I think also the truck and...
You know, I was just thinking about this. Maybe we should get the Bryles to come on and talk about their experience with their 2 kids in the van and those driving aspects that now that we have a trailer, we could kind of bounce, you know, back and forth what that's like and what are the pros and cons compared to when they had a Class A.
Yeah.
You know?
There's definitely a lot of differences, for sure.
You guys let us know, either DM us or just leave a comment on the podcast saying how great it is and also the fact that you want to hear from the Bryles and see how they feel about having 2 kids in a van.
They have a really cool setup with the van with the pop top, so the kids actually sleep on the roof. But then they just had one the other day where there was like crazy force winds.
I'm sorry, but the fact that you said the kids sleep on the roof just makes me like my mind go to a different place and it doesn't feel safe or comfortable. But it is very safe and comfortable.
It's a pop top tent.
Yeah, it's a tent that's built into the top of the roof.
Yes.
So it's not like loose on the roof.
Fair.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. For whatever reason, my mind went that direction.
It's a very gorgeous build, and they did a really good job.
They did, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's pros and cons to every living situation.
For sure.
Do you know
100%.
what I mean? I think another thing that we were finding a little bit tricky was the whole like, it was really nice to be able to drop the trailer and take the truck and go do stuff. But then also a little bit annoying to like do all of the mechanics of like putting the trailer up, getting it on the hitch, getting the trailer down, unlocking the wheels, doing the thing, like all the steps to like get the truck and trailer either on or off. It's time.
Yeah, it is a lot of time. Like in other words, we would probably get everything done in less than 2 minutes to like get in the front seats and start driving away. Where with the truck and trailer, it was probably more like 15.
Yeah.
You know, and that's with making sure that everything is done correctly. Because if you accidentally don't do something, next thing you know, you're dragging your stabilizers on the ground.
Or you forget to put the pin in, and now you get a really big bump, and the whole trailer disconnects. I'm like, how is this entire setup resting on one pin?
Well, it's a pin and a locking, like, latch.
Oh, it's just like we'd be driving down the road, and we go over a little bump, and Frank be like,
I'm like, did I put the pin in?
I don't know. I gotta go check. I'm like, well, pull over and go check. Like,
I'll say one time out of all the times I said it, I didn't put the pin in.
Yeah.
So that's why I was always like, I need to double check it about this pin.
Right.
And it was the last time when we were in Salt Lake.
Yeah. Well, there was one time before I even understood what the pin was. You had left the pin on the tongue or whatever. And so I picked it up and brought it into the front with us. And I was like, oh, you forgot like this pin, whatever. And you were like, oh, that is very important.
Yeah.
I need to put that in immediately. Yeah. But we would have literally just drove away and the pin would have fallen on the ground.
Yes.
So there's a lot more to like think about.
Yes.
Because, you know, you do a 360 check of your vehicle or whatever. When you pull the van up, you could just pull the van up, go to sleep, wake up, drive away.
Well, even just like if we want to disconnect, we have to lock the wheels, especially if we're on like a slope. Mm-hmm. And then you have to lock both sides because if you don't lock one side, then next thing you know, the trailer starts to like spin on you because you need to lock both sides. You know, it's interesting. There's a lot of subtleties that are tough about it. Not a game-changing, like, overwhelmingly negative thing. But
no.
But game-changing in the sense of, like, if you want to be very efficient, a van is the way to go.
Yeah. I will say I think it changed the way that we traveled a little bit because of this whole, like, hitching, unhitching, whatever. It made us want to stay in places a little bit longer. And it also made us want to have places that we knew that we could be for sure.
Yes.
So rather than just going on iOverlander and finding a free spot, which we did a lot, like we still stayed in parking lots. We didn't do a lot of like side of the road stealth stuff.
We also didn't do any like BLM camping.
No, but I think that's just a factor of like where we were. Yeah. Like we were in Portland, we were near friends, so we stayed like at the campground where they were living. Then we were, near Isaac, so we stayed in his driveway. Then we were at Bob and Leanne, so we were out front of their house.
Because we've traveled so much and met so many people, we are very, very fortunate to have many different places to stay and visit people that we have met along our journey and that want us to come by and see them. And we want to go by and see them as well. So it works out to where we could kind of do that and bop around and not really have any hardship in the sense of trying to find a place to park at night.
And then I found on Vancouver Island, the spots on iOverlander all seemed like you needed to kind of be stealth and you needed to be kind of small.
Yeah.
And so that led us to Harvest Host or Boondockers Welcome. So you pay an annual membership, and then there was not tons, but there was enough spots.
I will say in Chemainus, they actually did have like an RV park up spot that was free, and it was first come, first serve, obviously, and they only want you to spend so much time there. But like you could literally pull up, it's kind of by the church over there, and you could pull up into an RV spot and literally just, sleep there overnight.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very popular location for RVers in the summer, so they have everything set up for you to be able to do all the things.
I got another con.
Oh.
Can I add this one? Okay, so one of the biggest cons for me was the fact that when we're driving, we're not charging anymore, and it's the way the system is set up, and like I didn't want to have to add another plug-in to be able to like charge our battery bank system in the back. And so one of the biggest cons is that we're not like fully charged. We're not using all the energy that we're exerting as power. And so we're only getting like 3 to 5 days max with like a full battery, and then we have to plug in and charge.
We also, I will say, had a lot of unfortunate electrical issues along the way.
Yeah.
We had an inverter die on us that was basically brand new.
That was the first big issue, and then also like our panels didn't seem to be performing the way that I would like them to, and I think that was kind of because of the time of the year that we were in.
Yeah, we had a lot of, we've been talked about the rain and things, so we definitely had a lot of cloud cover, so we weren't getting like maximum solar.
And the sun not coming up all the way because it's, fall, getting to the shortest day of the year. So every day gets a little bit shorter. So we're not getting as much sun as humanly possible, or like what you would get in the summertime. I think in the summertime we run probably 2 weeks without having to plug in. But but then we also are going to be consuming more energy by potentially using our
air conditioner,
which I also have to figure out how to set up since we got a new battery bank system, which is a whole nother story that I'll get into. But yeah, so basically one of the biggest cons was the fact that we weren't utilizing all that efficiency of the energy that we're automatically using anyway to be able to charge that system.
That is technically figure outable.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just it's more tricky because then you have to run a wire all the way from your truck at the very front to the battery system at the very back of the trailer.
Has to be able to do 40 feet in this length. You know? And,
you need a big wire.
Yeah, and then so sizing that up and that's more weight and it just becomes another potential hazard.
Yeah. So I think another thing that maybe wasn't working out for us on this trip was that it was basically our shakeout trip.
Yes, that's true.
And so we had this trailer. We rushed to finish the build. We'd never really lived in it before. We did a couple of camping trips in the summer, but that was before anything was really like built.
Yes.
And, it was good and we enjoyed it, but there were definitely things along the way that we were like, oh, we could optimize. And then like things broke as we were going as well. Like not any of the stuff that Frank built, but like some of the components that we had either weren't working as well or broke. So it became... there was always something to do, always something to fix, which is kind of like the nature of van life, kind of in a nutshell.
There was always somehow like a little dark cloud.
Yeah.
Of like a problem that I had to fix.
Yeah. And like it was all good and we still had a lot of fun, but then you have this like nagging thing in the back of your mind of like, okay, well, I need to get a part for that. And then where could we ship that? And where is that going to go? And then could I just buy it at the store? And then which store would I buy it at? So let me do some research and is like this whole thing.
I guess what we're trying to say is we recommend that you do your shakedown trip somewhere close by. You're like, wherever your stationary space is. So that way when you do need a product, you could easily go and get it.
Yeah.
But like we put that thing through a lot of different stuff and it performed really well. And I love the way it drove and I love the way the truck handled the trailer. And there was, not the sway that I thought I was going to have from the weight distribution that we did. We did a great job of building it. The biggest con of all. You ready for this? We didn't have enough ventilation and also the ability to keep the space warm enough with that ventilation where literally the metal from the Delta T from outside temperature to inside temperature was so great that it started sweating so bad, the aluminum, that it started getting wet on the walls and started to create mold. And that's the biggest reason why we had to come back.
Yeah. What a bummer. I think it was funny because we'd never had this issue with any of our other vehicles. And I'm not sure why exactly that it became such a big issue in this trailer versus none of our other multiple builds.
This is how I know it wasn't a big issue in our last rig too, is like when we pulled apart that shower area to rebuild the kitchen area in Olive, we had no mold on the wood. There was no moisture on the metal. There was none of this. And
we didn't even think about mold. We didn't even think about moisture. We didn't think about it at all. And so honestly, it's kind of dumb on our part. Like there was a couple of things that we did on this trip that were like mind-blowingly stupid.
Like?
For people who have been doing van life for 6 years to be this stupid.
What do you mean?
We started using this like chemical spray for our toilet. So the pee area is the stinky area, which is funny because you would think the poo is the stinky.
We used a typical like way to clean.
We had just like some random household cleaner. I don't even think I bought that. Honestly, that household cleaner was a free gift from LeBoat.
Oh,
it came in because I wouldn't buy something that had like bleach and chemicals and whatever, but we own it. So I was like, whatever, I'm going to use it. So we started keeping it by the toilet, and then instead of flushing, because it's not a composting toilet, you would do like a little spritz, and then whatever. Turns out that when you combine ammonia, which is what your pee is made
it's not
of,
like a large amount of ammonia, but it's enough ammonia and bleach. If you add bleach to that,
you make mustard gas,
which is a chemical gas. And luckily for us, it wasn't devastating. It didn't kill us. It didn't hurt us.
The most disgusting smell.
The smell was
smell was horrendous. Yeah. And it took us longer than I'd like to admit to realize what we had done. And then once we cleaned it out, it took multiple times using and cleaning it for the smell to like completely dissipate.
I think it took 2 to 3 times for us to actually like clean it thoroughly, get rid of all the potential bleach that was just like stuck in it. And once we got rid of that, the smell quite literally went away.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to deal with the smell later on when we would use it as well. Like it was like the level of smell was up here, and then after we cleaned it, the level of smell was like, if this is the rock bottom, it was like here.
Like a teeny fraction above it.
Only when you used it, you smelled it a little.
Every time you opened that lid, it was like in your face. Like like by the end of it, I was like, we're probably just going to die. Well, we're all going to die in here tonight because we've made mustard gas. And like...
The good thing is whenever we would open that thing, we would ventilate the space. So we would turn on the exhaust fan in the bathroom, and that would pull out a lot of potential hazardous stuff. Mm-hmm. And we would turn on the fan in the living area, and that would get rid of even more.
Mm-hmm. But it was just so bad.
The fact that we were literally just like being toxic to ourselves, not good. Learn from our mistakes, guys, is what we're trying to say. This is the reason why we do this podcast, is that you guys can look at us and go, oh, well, thank you for telling us. That was dumb of you, but thank you for telling us. But
like, I don't know. We've been living in vehicles for 6 years, and this is the first time we've made mustard gas. Us.
I think it's because we didn't buy the product and somebody gave it to us.
Yeah.
And we were using it for the wrong purpose.
So then the next thing that we did that was super dumb was that when the condensation started happening, we just kind of like we just like wiped it up and then like moved on.
Yeah.
When we realized that it was creating mold, we started really maximizing the ventilation, really like blowing the fans, which is hard to do when it's cold outside.
Once it gets below 0 outside Celsius or below 32 Fahrenheit, that's when we had the issue of do we continue to ventilate and it be about 65 in our space, or do we not ventilate and it gets to 70 and satisfies?
And so it's like, then you have the condensation.
But then we're not wasting as much fuel in the heat aspect, right?
Because basically you have to have your window open, your fans on, and the max air fan sucking out slightly.
And 2 fans on the metal to allow that air, that moisture to like get caught in the air and get pulled out.
Which means there's a lot of moving air, and you're sucking cold air in from outside. Correct. At the same time that you're trying to produce hot air from your heater and keep the temperature keep the space a good temperature, which I think if it was just Frank and I, wouldn't have mattered so much. But then you have Everly sleeping in her own bed, and you're kind of like, ugh, well, is it cold up there? Is it warm up there? Like, if the heater's never satisfying, and then you're also going through an entire tank on your diesel heater every single night.
The good part is, like, Everly was super warm in her room, and since it's kind of enclosed, like, it holds temperature better than everywhere else in the space. So, like, when we have the AC on, it gets nice and cool in there, and then when we have the heat on, it stays nice and warm in there. So she was good, and we realized that later on. But for us, it was pretty brisk at times.
Yeah, well, you'd be laying in bed, and there'd be literally a cold breeze coming across your body from the open window. Neck. Yeah, like my nose would be like frosty.
Straight to the neck, boys. Straight to the neck.
It was just like, but so doing that stopped the mold from growing and the condensation from happening. Yeah. So now you're in this like catch-22 of like, do I just say fudge it and get the temperature up and like whatever, or do I be cold all night and a little bit uncomfortable?
I will say too, if we would have just like booked it to the desert and we would have went to like Arizona and then straight down to Baja, we probably would have had zero moisture problems at all because there's no humidity in the air. And also the nights would have been much warmer. So needing that much heat, your delta T wouldn't have been so big. You know, so we probably could have got away with going there, but also at the same time, I don't know the potential of what's behind the walls. And so that's why we had to come home, was because I need to figure out if the mold is behind the walls too. Because if it is, then we're putting ourselves and our daughter in a bad situation, and that is the last thing that we want. So that's why we came home, ultimately.
Really unfortunate that all of this happened. You know, when we started talking to our friends about it, especially like Stokeloaf was like, yeah, the condensation in the winter is so hard because like you have this huge temperature differential, which also makes me think that this trailer just really isn't good for what you would really want it for, which is like snowboarding and like winter.
Well, I think I know the solution. The solution is that we have a van for the winter stuff and we have the trailer for the warm weather stuff, you know?
So our plan right now, you know, we're in this season of like editing and being home and making cookies and getting to like house life stuff while we like work through the content from the last couple of months. And then after the summer, after the holidays, we're going to really get behind the walls of the trailer and pull it apart and see what's happening in there. And then hopefully the trailer will be ready for summer exploration. And summer! We've been listening to a lot of Frozen. That's like 90% of the way that we keep Everly happy in the car.
I just want to say, as much as I'm excited for winter, I really wish we could have went down to summer.
I know. So our original plan was to go all the way to Baja and like come home for the holidays, like I said, fly back and then drive to Baja. And then we would have had no condensation problems because we would have been in the desert.
I think we did the right thing though. Like we prioritized our family and our health over fun and content. Yeah. And all that stuff. So like
the beach.
Yeah, and as much as I would have loved to sit on the beach and potentially surf and all that, like there's things we just got to get done. We got to pay attention to, and I'm grateful that we made that decision as hard as it was, also as easy as it was, because it was also pretty easy to make that decision. Yeah. I think because we have the same priorities.
Yeah, it's easy to second guess your decision too. Like I feel like we were like, oh my God, this is such a big problem, and then canceled everything, changed our plans, told everybody, did all these things, made all these moves. And then when you're in it, you're like, da-da-da-da-da. And then we got really away from this super wetness. Yeah. And then we started ventilating more. And then we had cleaned all the mold that we could see off. And then there was no new mold. So we were like, oh, should we have just continued on our merry way?
I guess my question is, were we actually just making penicillin?
Yeah, maybe it's like the greatest mold of all time.
But do we look younger after that trip? Like, because potentially it could be like a, you know, anti-aging mold.
Ooh, that would be amazing if Van Lifers mold is the mold that like cures cancer.
Or brings you back a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good.
Your stinky friendly neighborhood van lifer is actually doing good things here, people.
So yeah, all in all, I think what we're trying to say is that whether you're in a van, in a trailer, in whatever it is, that we think that travel is the most wonderful thing, and it's so totally worth it. So if you ever have these aspirations or wants or whatever, just try to figure it out, you know?
And you have to adjust along the way.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you get on the road, you're going to realize things that are different than you thought, that you need to change, that need to be fixed, that need to, learn your lessons of like how not to use a composting toilet. Like, it's definitely a learning curve. And even us, like 6 years in, we're still learning things all the time.
And we're not scared. We're not afraid to admit that. We're not afraid to admit that we're learning every day, and that's how we get better every day, and that we make mistakes, This is how you have growth as a person. If you think that you don't have mistakes, you've stopped growing as a human, and you probably have many flaws, more so than if you were trying to fix them or fix yourself.
Frank's getting deep.
Sometimes I go deep. I'm not going to finish what I was going to say.
Anyways, we really enjoy the podcast, and it's nice to be back here. No guarantees on whether this is going to become a more frequent thing, or maybe it becomes frequent sometimes, and then other times we're traveling and it's not. Like, I think the other thing we need to know is that
I did this sign because literally our computer's about to die.
I know. The charging cord is right here.
It must have popped out.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. We're having a lot of technical difficulties. This is our first time doing this way, so it's a learning curve, Learn with us.
Well, that's the thing, too. Just like we were saying, you got to adapt and grow and do all of these things. So, yeah, and then embracing the different seasons of your life, because some seasons are going to be travel seasons and some seasons are going to be slow home seasons. And, like, the adventure could, if you wanted to, be 24/7, 365, but also that could really lead to some like serious burnout. And I think that, burnout is an issue in the van life community. And I think it's because people don't take that step back to be like, okay, instead of traveling full time 24/7, let me park up here for a month.
So we have like a double whammy, I feel like, because we're also creators. And so being content creators, you also hit burnout. So like you have burnout from van life and burnout from creating content all at the same time. And you get burnout in everything. Like if you have a regular 9-to-5 job, I'm sure you've been through burnout. And if you're like the person that's kind of on autopilot, you've probably already been so burnt out that like you don't realize it anymore, that you're still on autopilot because you're still in that burnout stage. So everybody goes through it. But I think for like us, it's a double whammy because we're creating content and our content is based around our travel for a fair bit of it. Granted, I just want it to be about us, about our life, about what we're doing, no matter what that thing is, whether we're in a house, in a van, in a trailer, traveling, not traveling, whatever it is. I think being able to have content just based on our lives so that we could all learn together is really what we're doing. Whether we're exploring your backyard, our backyard, or we're dealing with a crisis in our lives. We want people to see it and be a part of it so that way if they come into it, they might have something to reference, and do it with a smile on our faces, I think that's probably the biggest importance is being happy while you're doing it. Being present in the moment is one of the big things. Yeah. That's why we love travel so much, is the ability to be present in the moment. And
we do have moments where we are deeply sad.
Yeah.
Or things aren't going right and we're kicking ourselves. Yeah, but we do try to always bounce back pretty quickly and like figure out solutions. That's kind of the name of the game, is to figure out solutions. And when we are burnt out, we take a couple days off. Yeah. I think we've kind of like learned that we need to listen to ourselves and we can't just like push. And especially with Everly, like say she's going through a hard sleep thing and, everybody's tired and whatever, like you really want to wake up and get ready and get on camera and like, no. But you have to like listen to yourself and honor that and respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then not be beating yourself up for it later. Like we just finished editing a video from Ukulele, and the first couple of days that we were in Ukulele, we just kind of like chilled out, worked a little bit, caught up on some things.
Yeah.
Like didn't really film a lot. And now I'm editing the video and I'm like, oh, it would have been cool if we filmed the aquarium. Oh, it would have been cool if we filmed that walk down to the water. Oh, it would have been, but we didn't. And we enjoyed it while we were there. And there's nothing I can do about it now. You just move on.
And like sometimes it makes the content feel incomplete for us and potentially for the viewer as well. But like that's just where we're at in the moment, and so we didn't capture it, and that it is what it is, you know. And we hope that you guys still enjoy the content and enjoy the podcast. And if you do, make sure to share it with people. If you know somebody that would enjoy this type of content, please share it to them because it helps us grow. It helps us be able to continue to put out this content and be able to live like our best lives. So thank you guys so much for sharing us and being part of our journey. And if we're ever passing by, maybe we'll get an opportunity to meet you.
Mm-hmm. And if you have questions or things that you want answered, you can always send us a DM on Instagram. Frank is deep in the DMs on Instagram. And
I wouldn't say I'm deep in the DMs. I'm deep into reading the DMs that come to us.
Frank loves chit-chatting on Instagram. So if you are messaging us there, you're almost 97% of the time talking to Frank. If you send us an email, 100% of the time you're talking to me.
So for all the people that like love the shimmies and think you're talking to Alex, I apologize because it's most likely me.
Yeah.
I will refer to Alex if it's something that I think needs to be answered by her or like that is a very like personal thing. I'll be like, hey, Alex, you have to answer these people.
But that's the nice thing about us being two of us is that we can kind of divide and conquer.
Yeah.
Because I think it would be too much for one person, which solo people do it all the time, but I don't think that I could handle that. And I think we learned that's really early on in our like YouTube career that like comments are bad for my mental health.
Yeah, the negative ones especially.
There's a lot of really good positive comments, and then you'll get one that's just like, oh.
Yeah, 99% of them are nice. And then, yeah, the one or the three that we get out of the hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands of comments are the ones that, like, really just stick into Alex. And, like, it's like a knife just went into her.
And then you think about it. You're, like, in the shower, and you're like, oh, is that true? Is that thing that person said about me true?
I think it's good to have reflection on it and like, you know, did I do the right thing? I think I did. They didn't have like the full context of like the whole situation. So they might not, they're just answering out of like what they feel is right and wrong. And just because they feel it's right and wrong doesn't mean it is right or wrong.
It's just that for my own mental clarity and sanity, I have enough on my plate that I just don't.
So if you ever get a rude response back to a negative comment, it's from me. You're welcome.
Yeah.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah. Frank is amazing. And I feel like you do try to like educate or explain
or even reflect, right? Like somebody told me once, I had a hot coffee over Everly's head when she was like being held in the little thing. And like, you're not thinking about stuff like that always when you're like just going through everyday life. And all I wanted to do was drink my coffee and hang out with my friends. And I held a hot coffee over her head that could have potentially really hurt her, you know, her skin and into the future, maybe even possibly her looks, you know, and I didn't spill it on her at all. So it was like the potential of what could have happened. But after that point, after that comment, I never did it again. And I did apologize and say, thank you for making me aware of this because I didn't realize I even did it, you know? And I'm glad and grateful that it was in the video because otherwise that person wouldn't have been able to reflect that to me. Mm-hmm. And so after I said this to them, they were like expecting this like really negative response or whatever. And they were like, I am very happy about the way you answered. You are the most adult creator that I've ever chatted with. And I was like, well, I appreciate that, you know, because I don't feel that adult sometimes. I feel like a kid a lot.
Well, we're all just humans living our human existence for the first time. We don't know everything about everything.
And I even like posted about it to make other people aware. Mm-hmm. And like I explained how I could have potentially felt about this comment in a negative way, but instead I was able to reflect in a positive way. So I think it's mindset too. And I've been fortunate and blessed to have a really positive mindset. And, you know, partly and due to my upbringing and like struggles that I had as a kid allowed me to have that as almost like a coping mechanism. And what's wild is that like it's the best coping mechanism that anybody could ever have, in my opinion, to be able to like take something negative and flip it into a positive. I don't consider that a coping mechanism. I find it to be a tool that allows me to be able to still see the negative and understand the negative, but appreciate the person I'm becoming because of it.
Well, I think it also leads to a happier life.
Yeah.
Because if you just took everything negative, and didn't do any kind of thoughtful reflection, then your whole life would be pretty dour.
Yeah. And I'm not into dour life. That's not me. That's not me at all.
I'm into FnA life.
I'm into FnA life. And with all that being said, we hope that you guys have an FnA day.